I spoke with Deripaska about his empire and influence and the role it will play in Russia's future, perhaps a faster growing economy. I began our exclusive interview by asking him if Russia is underperforming vis-a-vis China and India and how to turn that around.
Europe crisis is not over. It's just attempt, to handle the debts. But I think, we're more concerned about future. What would happen, with the monetary union? What would happen in general with economic situation, economic growth, and what we may see if Europe will go down and actually increase demand in Europe, because it would improve their manufacturing. Our main consumer in Europe is transportation sector. And, of course, it will stay very strong if Europe will go down.
President Putin was suggesting that Europe would need up to $2 trillion to get through this debt crisis, and Russia now has the benefit, because of oil exports, of about $500 billion in foreign reserves. Would you suggest it would be a good time for Russia to help out Europe during the crisis?
No, never.
And why do you say so?
Why we should do, look at Russian numbers, more than 5% growth in the third quarter, which will result in more than 4% growth over the year. Our, government debt to GDP ratio is below 12%. Total debt, foreign debt to GDP ratio is below 30%. We have quite a good numbers in many basic industries. For example, number of cars produced this year in Russia double, and of course I think Russia should deal with our own problem. Lack of infrastructure, development Siberia and Far East, more emphasis on agriculture, and development of agriculture, food processing, and I think it's what we should focus. And Europe will benefit from our strong market and will benefit from the opportunity to invest in Russia.
You raised some interesting points there. Number one, Russian growth of 4 to 5% is good, but certainly not keeping in par with, say, India or China. It's fair to say Russia's underperforming.
You can compare at the moment. But 4%, you have to also deal with that. We had quite severe crisis in 2008, 2009. Why? Because our financial system was, let's say, two-thirds, based on funding, from foreign, source. Government and banks, made huge efforts, to change this equation, and now we have more than one-third of our system, funded from the foreign. That's why our situation much more stronger, and banks become well capitalized, and we can see, higher growth, in next and year 2013-14.
At the APEC summit, President Medvedev said that he sees China being perhaps an equal, if not greater, partner in terms of natural gas in the near future. I would classify that as a substantial shift in Russian-Chinese relations. How do you see it?
I mean, we have an economy next to our border. First, with China, we have a longest border. It's more than 2,000 kilometers, and it's not just China, Asia. It's a very important partner for us to develop our Siberian and Eastern territories. And of course, we already built it in a pipeline. We established long-term relations in oil. And of course, I think it's important that Russia made progress in gas as well. But don't forget, we have Sakhalin 2, which create opportunity for the Japanese and Koreans, to deliver LNG. We have more project which was announced, actually in APEC, about chemical construction, which will use natural gas in Vladivostok, with support of Japanese companies, and I think there will be more development. But yes, you're right. Russia very interested in supplying and helping Asian economy, and participating through the supply of raw materials, semi-product in Asian growth.
As you know, there's been a lot of dirty laundry aired about the Russian oligarchs in the last 6 months. Court cases in London. What do you think needs to be done at this juncture to clean up the reputation of the major players such as yourself?
We don't need to clean our reputation. Our reputation clean as a white paper. But don't forget, I mentioned recently, our business started, things President Gorbachev of USSR signed a decree in mid of July when he let a private enterprise started. I registered my first enterprise, in August 1991. It's just 20 years. And in 20 years, we achieved, this, tremendous, improvement in transition, from 100% state-owned economy to, to market economy, which had an access, to WTO. And my view, of course, all this oligarch story. By the way, you can consider me as a second generation, more industrial than the people who were dealing with privatization, because I built my company based on market principles. I bought it from market participants. And we do believe, first of all, it's over, but I also believe that the legal system must much be better developed, and Russian business should pay more attention, as we do, in their business, to legal aspects.